Hey guys, what's up? It's AppleCritics from AppleCritics.com. In this video, I have a very special video. This video is going to be the iPhone XS Max versus the iPhone 11 Pro Max versus the brand new iPhone 12 Pro Max. So this is a much anticipated, long-awaited video. So in this video, it's going to be the ultimate comparison between these three spectacular devices that were all once upon a time a flagship phone by Apple. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this video. So to start off, the iPhone XS Max is right here on the left. It was released in September 2018, so we can see it right here. So this is the iPhone XS Max, and you can see its design there. Now next up, we have the iPhone 11 Pro Max that was released in September 2019. So here it is, and you can see it has a wonderful design as well. So we can go ahead and flip it over, and then we can see the overall design of the 11 Pro Max right there. So there we have it. And then finally, in November 2020, Apple released the brand new iPhone 12 Pro Max. So here it is. So here we have these three wonderful devices, and you can see the evolution of the design from 2018 to 2019 to 2020. So we can see we have that all right there. So taking a look at the design of these three spectacular devices, the iPhone XS Max starts at 6.20 inches, and then the iPhone 11 Pro Max starts at 6.22 inches, and then the height of the iPhone 12 Pro Max is 6.33 inches. Now the width from left to right goes 3.05 inches for the iPhone XS Max, 3.06 inches for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and for the iPhone 12 Pro Max it's 3.07 inches. Now finally, the depth is 0.30 for the XS Max, 0.32 inches for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and for the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it's 0.29 inches. Now, as we go from left to right, the weight gets heavier. So the iPhone XS Max is the lightest, coming in at 208 grams. The 11 Pro Max is at 226 grams, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max is at 228 grams. So you can see that there's only a 2-gram difference between the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. But between the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it actually has a 20-gram difference. So you can see that the iPhone XS Max is currently the lightest phone between the three. Now, in terms of splash, water, and dust resistance, they are all IP68 certified, but as we go from left to right, the water resistance increases. So the iPhone XS Max has a water resistance of 2 meters up to 30 minutes, and now the iPhone 11 Pro Max has 4 meters up to 30 minutes, and now the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a maximum depth underwater of 6 meters for up to 30 minutes, and it still will work. So that is very, very interesting. Now, in terms of design for all these phones, they all do have some wonderful design. So just taking a look at the iPhone XS Max right here, it's very easy on the eyes. It has a somewhat simple design, but I do like it. So we have the notch right in the front there. And then on the back, you just have this nice basic design. Feels very light in the hands, and the overall weight of it just feels pretty good when we hold it in our hand. So it has just a very basic glass design. Now, next up, we have the iPhone 11 Pro Max, which also has a very similar design for the iPhone. It still has the same notch right on the front. And then on the back, it just feels similar to the iPhone XS Max pretty much, just slightly heavier, of course, as we just discussed. But when we get to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it honestly just feels like a premium design. Just feel like it's something special. When we take a look at it, we can see the sides are now squared instead of rounded. So we can see the difference between these two devices. So we can see the sides there. So you can see it's much more squared now. So that is definitely something to note. And just the overall design just looks really, really good. We get the nice cameras. We got this matte graphite color right here as well. So I really do like the design of the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it's just definitely stunning in person. Now, taking a look at the display on all three phones, you can see that the display is just simply spectacular on each one of these phones. It's just something that is just so immersive when we first take a look at them, and it's obviously the first thing that you're going to be greeted with. So when we take a look at the displays on all three of these devices, the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone 11 Pro Max have a 6.5-inch display, and then the actual iPhone 12 Pro Max has a 6.7-inch behemoth of a display. So that is just something that you must know, and just these phones really do embrace the name of Max when we take a look at them. So the iPhone XS Max has a Super Retina HD display, and then the 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro Max Both have a Super Retina XDR display, so that is just something to note. Now, all three of them all have HDR displays, and they're all diagonal, all-screen OLED displays, so that's something to note. Now, once again, the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone 11 Pro Max are 6.5-inch displays, and then diagonally, the iPhone XS Max is 6.7 inches, so these are all the diagonal dimensions of these devices. Now, in terms of the pixel resolution, the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone 11 Pro Max are 2688 by 1242 pixel resolution at 458 pixels per inch. So that's the same for both of them. But the iPhone 12 Pro Max is 2778 by 1284 pixel resolution at 448 pixels per inch. So that is just something to note. So it's 2778 by 1284 on the 12 Pro Max versus the iPhone XS Max and iPhone 11 Pro Max both having the same 2688 by 1242 pixel resolution. Now, they all have True Tone displays, and the iPhone XS Max actually has 3D touch on it versus the iPhone 11 Pro Max and 12 Pro Max having haptic touch. Now, in terms of the max brightness, the iPhone XS Max has 625 nits of max brightness, which is typical, versus the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the 12 Pro Max both having 800 nits max brightness, typical, versus the iPhone 11 Pro Max and 12 Pro Max both having 800 nits max brightness, typical, and 1200 nits max brightness HDR. So that is definitely something to note. Now, the main reason why you're watching this video would have to be the camera. So taking a look at the camera on all three of these devices, that is when you see these devices really shine. So to start off, the iPhone XS Max has that dual camera setup from 2 years back. So that was interesting. And then in September 2019, Apple released the 3-camera setup that brought all the memes and got all the different reactions and showed that Apple is heading in a different direction in terms of cameras. And then the most polished one is the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, of course. So we could just take a look at it. And now we have the 3-camera setup with the new LiDAR scanner. So those are the 3 cameras. Now, in terms of specs, that's when things get really interesting. So the iPhone XS Max has a dual 12 megapixel wide and telephoto cameras versus the iPhone 11 Pro Max and iPhone 12 Pro Max, both having a triple 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, and telephoto camera. So that is definitely something to note. Now, in terms of the wide and telephoto cameras on the iPhone XS Max, it has an f1.8 aperture for the wide camera, and for the telephoto, it's f2.4 aperture. Now, for the 11 Pro Max, it is f2.4 aperture for the ultra wide. And for the wide camera, it's f1.8 aperture, and for the telephoto, it's 2.0 aperture, versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max just having the absolute best specs. It has the f2.4 aperture for the ultra wide, for the wide it has f1.6, and for the telephoto camera it has f2.2 aperture. Now, the iPhone XS Max doesn't have any night mode or deep fusion, but the iPhone 11 Pro Max has the night mode and deep fusion, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max has the night mode, deep fusion, and Apple Pro RAW. So this just means the pictures will just be spectacular. So that is just definitely something to note. So we can go into the camera on all three of these devices. And going into the camera, you'll see that they all have their different abilities. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. But with the iPhone XS Max, you can see it just has 10x zoom, and it doesn't have 3 cameras, of course. So it's pretty basic in what it can do. So that is definitely something to note. Now, in terms of when we go to the video section, you can see that we can't do too much with it. So you can see it is 6 times video zoom with the iPhone XS Max. So on the 11 Pro Max, we have those 3 cameras right on the back. So this was quite a big upgrade. So we can just go ahead and tap on the 0.5 for the ultra wide. We have the 2 times zoom, we have the 1 time zoom. So you can see that there's a lot we can do. We have the 10 times zoom right here. So you can see it's just only getting better with this camera. And it just has a lot of great features with the camera, especially with the 3 of them. And we can see we have the 6 times video zoom, and we have the wide angle zoom for the video as well. So you can see it's just a very, very great camera. And you can see that we have different recording modes as well. So you can just tap and get the 4K 30 frames per second and much more. Finally, we do have the 12 Pro Max with the 3 massive cameras. So you can see it looks really, really good. Now, it has a 47% larger image sensor compared to the iPhone 12 Pro. So you can see that the 12 Pro Max is worth it just alone based on the camera, so that is something to notice. Now it also does have the LiDAR scanner, which means better night photos and just better photos in general, because it's using the LiDAR scanner to make sure it's the best possible photo, and it'll just adjust in the video mode and photo mode and make even better portraits, and a night mode as well. So it just gets really, really good. It also has the Pro RAW mode, which will allow you to make raw photos. So photographers will definitely rejoice with that feature. So it's only getting better. And the 12 Pro Max is the best smartphone camera in any phone to date. Now, in terms of video recording, we get 4K video recording at 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and 60 frames per second on all three of these phones. We also do get 1080p HD video recording at 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second on all three of these phones. But the major difference between the 12 Pro Max and the 11 Pro Max and the XS Max is that it has HDR video recording with Dolby Vision up to 60 frames per second. So that is definitely huge. And it's just a really, really big feature. So we have the ability to have the extended dynamic range for video up to 60 frames per second on the 12 Pro Max and 11 Pro Max. And it's only 30 frames per second on the XS Max. We have optical image stabilization video on the XS Max and 11 Pro Max versus sensor shift optical image stabilization for video. So that is actually a mirrorless DSLR feature that is now on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So that is definitely huge. And we do have the audio zoom and quick take video on the 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So that also is something to note. And then we do have the normal features that include the slow-mo video support for 1080p at 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second, time-lapse video with stabilization, and then stereo recording. And then lastly, we have the night mode time-lapse exclusive to the 12 Pro Max. Now, in terms of the processor on all three of these devices, they're all Apple chips, and with the iPhone XS Max, we get the Apple A12 Bionic chip. With the iPhone 11 Pro Max, we get the A13 Bionic chip. And then with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, we get the Apple A14 Bionic chip. Now, the iPhone 12 Pro Max Apple A14 Bionic chip is 60% faster CPU and 50% faster GPU compared to the iPhone XS Max Apple A12 Bionic, so you can see that it's considerably faster. And the Apple A14 Bionic chip is actually 40% faster CPU and 30% faster GPU compared to the Apple A13 Bionic chip in the 11 Pro Max. So you can see that the Apple A14 Bionic chip just definitely is very, very fast and very, very potent, I must say. And it's just, the processing power is just going to be noticeable. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max has much more processing and graphics power compared to the iPhone 11 Pro Max. However, you won't be able to notice the increase in performance coming from the 11 Pro Max because last year's iPhone, which is the iPhone 11 Pro Max, is already very powerful. But that being said, that extra horsepower could come in handy in 2 or 3 years down the line in the iPhone 12 Pro Max when Apple upgrades the software with more features, which could take a toll on the processing power. So if you're going to use your iPhone for the long term, it makes sense to upgrade to the iPhone 12 Pro Max as it is very powerful and will keep your phone running smooth and fast. But if you're someone who changes smartphones every 1 or 2 years, then the extra horsepower in the iPhone 12 Pro Max isn't worth spending on. Now, comparing the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone XS Max, the iPhone 12 Pro Max definitely has the better and much more powerful processor compared to that of the iPhone XS Max. However, the chipset of the iPhone XS Max is already so powerful that you won't be able to feel the extra horsepower that the iPhone 12 Pro Max offers in day-to-day usage. But that being said, the iPhone XS Max is already 2 years old and it might start feeling sluggish already, or even sluggish 1 or 2 years down the line. So if you upgrade from the iPhone 12 Pro Max today, it'll feel even peppy and snappy and crisp even 3 or 4 years after usage. So it also depends on how long you're planning to use the device. Now, in terms of RAM and storage, the iPhone XS Max comes in the options of 64, 256, and 512 gigabytes, and the 11 Pro Max comes in options of 64, 256, and 512 gigabytes, whereas the iPhone 12 Pro Max starts at 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes, and 512 gigabytes. So we have those options. So starting at 128 gigabytes versus 64 gigabytes on both these phones is huge because you're going to be taking a lot of pictures and videos and you want to have the minimum storage space just to start, and 64 gigabytes is inadequate for the 12 Pro Max, so it's good that it starts at 120 gigabytes, and you get more bang for your buck and more value getting the 120 gigabyte model of the iPhone 12 Pro Max as the base model. So that is a good adjustment that Apple made, and I must say that. So the iPhone XS Max in terms of RAM has 4 gigabytes, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max in terms of RAM has 4 gigabytes, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max has 6 gigabytes of RAM. It's the first iPhone ever to have 6 gigabytes of RAM, so that definitely is huge as well. Now, in terms of battery life, the 12 Pro Max just simply has the best battery life I've ever seen in an iPhone. And comparing the three devices, the iPhone XS Max has a 3,174 milliamp hour battery. The iPhone 11 Pro Max has a 3,969 milliamp hour battery, and then the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a 3,687 milliamp hour battery. So that means the iPhone XS Max will give you 15 hours of video playback for downloaded videos, and on the iPhone 11 Pro Max you get 20 hours of video playback, and then on the iPhone 12 Pro Max you get 20 hours of video playback for downloaded videos. The iPhone XS Max will give you 65 hours of audio playback, and then you get 80 hours of audio playback on both the 11 Pro Max and 12 Pro Max. And then lastly, you get 18 watt wired charging and 50% charge in 30 minutes, and 15 watts wireless charging on the iPhone XS Max, versus the 18 watt charging on the 11 Pro Max, 50% charge in 35 minutes, and a 15 watt wireless charging. And then finally with the 12 Pro Max, you get a 50% charge in 30 minutes versus the 11 Pro Max taking 50% charge in 35 minutes. You also get the 15 watt wireless charging, and you do get the MagSafe capability on the 12 Pro Max. So you can use many MagSafe accessories and everything like that with the 12 Pro Max. Now the difference in battery capacity is actually less than the 11 Pro Max, as the 11 Pro Max is 3,969 milliamp hour battery versus 3,687 milliamp hours. So that's something to notice. So the 12 Pro Max actually does on paper have a smaller battery than the 11 Pro Max. What that means is that with the new Apple A14 chip, it is more power efficient than the 11 Pro Max A13 Bionic chip. So that means it'll use less battery compared to the 11 Pro Max and XS Max. It actually optimize it more and have a longer lasting battery life, which is something that you want in a device. So that is something to definitely note. Now, last but not least, you do get 5G on the 12 Pro Max. The biggest feature of the 12 Pro Max would have to be 5G connectivity, and it is limited at the moment, but it will get better depending on your city. So last but not least, the iPhone XS Max in terms of price, it came in at $1099, and now the 11 Pro Max came in at $1099, and now the 12 Pro Max is starting at $1099. So we can see that the pricing is there. Now obviously we'll be getting better deals on an older device like the XS Max, which is 2 years old, and the 11 Pro Max, which is also a year old. So that all depends, but just having the iPhone 12 Pro Max coming in 128 gigabytes versus 64 gigabytes for the base model is just very, very good, and I'm glad that Apple did that. So overall, this was the ultimate comparison between the iPhone XS Max, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I really hope you thoroughly enjoyed this video. Now, in my honest opinion, the 12 Pro Max is the best phone that Apple has ever made. It's always impressed me every day. The camera is amazing, the 5G is great, the new design is also great, the processing power is great, the battery life is great, so I have nothing but good things to say. The main thing that I care about in a phone is its battery life, its ability to make calls, of course, the ability to receive text, and then the secondary most important feature after all those primary features, I would say, is the camera. The camera blows every phone out of the water in the 12 Pro Max. It's something special, it's a sight to behold, and I can't say enough good things about the camera, and it makes me want to take more photos, it makes me want to take more videos, it makes me want to push the 12 Pro Max to its limits, it makes me want to film cinematic films with the 12 Pro Max. So that's all I can say about it. Now, in terms of coming from the iPhone XS Max to the 12 Pro Max, I would definitely say yes, it's a no-brainer. If you have the money, I would say go ahead and do it. Coming from the 11 Pro Max to the 12 Pro Max, I would say it definitely is not worth it unless you are a tech fanatic like myself. In terms of the tech in the 11 Pro Max to the 12 Pro Max, there isn't much of a difference per se, because the 11 Pro Max already has those 3 cameras. It already is very fast with the A13 chip versus the A14 chip in the 12 Pro Max. The only big difference is the design, and the cameras are just slightly better on the 12 Pro Max. So it's more value coming from the iPhone XS Max, as you only have the dual camera setup, so that is just something to note. So that was my full and complete comprehensive video on these three flagship devices. Hopefully you thoroughly enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to smash the like button down below. Also be sure to check out all the videos on my channel. Be sure to check my social media profiles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. My username there is AppleCritics. Be sure to subscribe for more great content, and thanks for watching.